Now we turn to the member for Surrey Cloverdale.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you for those words of wisdom. As a new member, I will try to adhere to those words. With regards to Bill 10, I stand virtually to speak in favour of what is inside Bill 10. COVID-19 has been an unprecedented challenge, and the word unprecedented has been used an unprecedented amount of times. And while we can see some light at the end of the tunnel, our government will continue to ensure that we keep people safe while creating the foundation for a sustainable recovery for everyone. I think that's one of the keys that our government is involved with is making sure that our citizens of British Columbia are safe during this time of the pandemic. The interim supply legislation that's here today provides a bridge funding between the end of the fiscal year on March 31st and the last day of the spring session when the provincial government budget is formally passed. Introducing this kind of interim supply legislation is common practice in British Columbia every spring. We should be reminded that in 2017, on the 2nd of March, there was a $22 billion bridge that was there. And then going back as far as March 5th, 2013, there was a $19 billion bridge that was there. So the bridges go back to even March 26th of 2012, where there's an $8 billion bridge. So we know that COVID-19 has turned everybody's lives upside down. It's the same here in British Columbia as it is across Canada, as it is across North America and the globe. While the end of the pandemic, it is getting closer, but we've still got a ways to go. We will need to get through this the way we always have when there's an emergency and an urgency, and that's looking out for each other. People and the businesses across BC, we're working hard to fight the virus and get back on track. And as the MLA for Surrey Cloverdale, I'm telling my constituents that we're there working for you. As I've said, our priority all along has been there to protect the people's health. That's not going to change. I've been involved in public safety since a long time ago, in 1980, when I stepped up to that plate to talk about public safety. And that's not going to change. We've come a long way together, and we know that we've got further to go. Our government is investing in healthcare, schools, seniors care to protect people, unlike what's ever happened in previous governments, where those large supplemental budgets went unchecked. Let's never forget the cuts to schools, seniors programs, and the healthcare sector, where social services were completely gutted at the cost of who needed it the most. We watched as those social services were shrunk by over 10%, and at the cost of those people that needed it most. When we also talk about healthcare cuts, let's not forget about the lands that were set aside for a new hospital in Surrey. And the BC Liberals sold the land where the hospital was going to stand and serve all of us south of the Fraser. And I'm pleased to be able to say that in my riding of Surrey Cloverdale, a new hospital is on its way in the future to take the place of those lands and that hospital that was sold back in 2014. When we think about schools, since 2018, there's been more than 18 new schools, expansions, and upgrades that have taken place in Surrey. And that's as a result of the prior 6 years to 2017, when there was only one school, one Mr. Speaker, that came to the city of Surrey. And that's at a time when the population is growing at 12 to 15,000 people on an annual basis. One school was set aside during that period of time. When we talk about the budget and we talk about what's there, And I'm not sure why the constituents of Richmond North Center are not able to access some of the funding that's there. But when we take a look at the extension of the small and medium-sized business grants that have been extended to August 31st, and adjusted the requirements for the businesses to demonstrate revenue loss from 70 to 30%, it shows that the government's listening. It shows that the government cares about those people that are there. I know in my constituency that there's a firm with accountants, and that they've reached out to the clients on their list, and they're going down that list, and they're providing help to some of those people. And one of those people is a person that I know in the restaurant business, and they do catering alongside of that. And they have found this business and the program that's in place, and they're at the end of that process, that they'll see themselves in the neighborhood of $45,000, because not only are they a small business in the restaurant industry, but they're catering to those tourists that were coming. And because of the world pandemic and the travel restrictions that's there, those people can no longer come and utilize their services that are there. When we take a look at the progress that we're making to make life affordable for people, whether it's building roads, homes, opening new schools or childcare spaces, those are the things that I'm proud of with our government that's there. These things give a head start on a strong recovery. And the people of Surrey Cloverdale, we are as diverse as it comes, but there are many young families that are in my constituency, and these are the things that they need. When I look at the infrastructure investments that are coming to my riding of Surrey Cloverdale, we take a look at the SkyTrain expansion to Langley. No longer is it going to be done in one stage and then a second stage that gets there. It's going to be done in one continuous build, all the way from Surrey Center through my riding into Langley. That in itself, Mr. Speaker, is going to provide high-end jobs for those families that are actually living inside of the riding, and they won't have to cross a bridge to get to work. They will not have to be in traffic. And the project itself, SkyTrain, will lower the GHGs that we have to take a look at when we're talking about the planet. We're building a recovery that includes everyone from the person that has the small business to the person that's just making ends meet. It's not just the people at the top. Mr. Speaker, we've come a long way, and there's lots to do. And I think that's why Bill 10 is so important to all British Columbians that we have that's out there. And when I think about Bill 10 and what's happened and what we're hearing in the rhetoric of what's happened in the past, I think we have to go back down to the common practice of the in-term supply legislation that we're talking about today to provide that bridge funding. This is nothing new to British Columbians. This is nothing new. In 2012, it was an $8 billion one. In March 15, 2013, it was $19 billion. March 6th of 2014, it was $8 billion. March 11th, 2015, it was $8 billion, the same as what it was March 1st, 2016, $8 billion. And then March 2nd, 2017, it was $22 billion. If I was good with math, I would add that all up for you to tell you how many billions of dollars that we were owed, but I'm not that way. But what I can say you, it's nothing new. And it's a practice that's considered common in British Columbia each spring. So, Mr. Speaker, rather than taking up the time of this House and speaking ad nauseum about certain things that are there, I simply just say that what we're talking about with regards to Bill 10 and the importance that's there to every British Columbian is why I stand virtually in the House today in support of Bill 10 and hope other people do as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.